Hello, welcome again to the Steve and Adam Show.
Hi, I'm Steve. I'm your host
Hey,
from Australia.
hey, Steve.
And we've got Adam here as well, who's trying to fumble his way through the intro.
I'm never going to get it right, but that's okay. I think this is
That's
going to
okay.
become our trademark. It's all right.
Yeah, we're good with that. Like it's a bit of fun.
Yeah.
That's
So
what
we're
these
here
sessions are
back
all about.
again to do another round of Intune training, and today we're going to be talking about security updates.
Or software updates, really, like patching.
Software updates, yes. So we're back in our cool DMAC, as Stephen likes to call it. So this is the device management portal. So this is devicemanagement.microsoft.com. That's how we get there. And we are going to jump right into software updates. So it's really easy. There's not a lot of options here. We go to Windows 10 Update Rings, and we are going to click Create. Now, if you've watched any of our videos up to this point, you'll notice that they all follow the same format, or the processes inside of Intune follow the same format, where we select an item and we drill through, and we're creating a new thing, and then we later will assign it to a thing, and so you'll start to get this rhythm. And so it's nice because all of these options are broken out into different bundles, and so they're logically grouped, but they're all in one place.
Yes.
And this is where it's really kind of nice, because if you've ever lived in the Windows world, you always had to open each applet as you went, and all those sorts of things. And this is kind of nice being able to do this. And I've recently discovered this cool feature that the blades, as you pop them out, really just scroll your screen over. And that's kind of nice, because you can go back and say, oh, wait, where was I? Without having to X out of the things and go back, you can just scroll backwards and everything. So completely unrelated, but hey, let's do some cool things here.
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna create a new update ring. So then we're gonna call this Windows 10 software updates, and I'm assuming we'll call this, like, I don't know, ring 1.
Or we could just call it pilot. So I like using the terminology pilot, and production, or production 1, and then production 2, because when I talk to an end user and say, oh yeah, you're in the pilot ring, they sit there and go, what do you mean pilot ring? Or you're in ring 0. I don't care. They understand what pilot means. They sit there and go, oh, pilot means that I'm getting tested on, we're validating, everything's working. So what Adam's going through here is the servicing channel. So this is where we can select the different options between semi-annual and semi-annual targeted, as well as the Windows Insider build. So if Adam drops down that text box, you'll see that we have all of the different options between Insider Fast, Slow, and Release Windows Insider. So that's the release preview, as well as the semi-annual channel and the semi-annual targeted. So this is around where you're getting your updates from. So Adam, do you know the difference between semi-annual channel and targeted?
I understand that target is going away at some point, I believe. But beyond that, no, not really.
So semi-annual targeted, when it was originally put in, was basically saying, look, we understand that you don't necessarily want it to go straight away, so we're going to delay it by 3 months before we release the major feature update for Windows 10 to your computer. And that was until it was basically certified for businesses and tested on a larger group of computers.
Okay, good to know.
Yep.
So before we go in and set these settings, so I'm looking at them saying, oh, I've seen these before. And so if I jump back over onto my my autopiloted test machine that we're working on, and I go down to update and security. Now I'm not going to check in right now, because we're going to save that magic for once we get these policies created. But what you'll see here is that if you're in Windows Update, and I'll try to move this sideways a little bit so we can kind of see the difference. So you've got these advanced options. Well, that didn't work.
Nope.
Let's see. Let me use that cool little slider. Look at that. Look
Ooh.
Oh, look at that. So you notice you've got some additional options down here, and you can change you only get these two options for the
Because you
targeting.
haven't subscribed to the Windows Insider at that point.
Exactly. And you've got delivery optimization options, and you've got the days to delay things. And if we go back, we can change our active hours here as well. So we're seeing those over here in the Intune panel. And so you'll see that that's all we're doing is we're just pre-configuring these things just like you would do in group policy. But the thing that I really like about the way that this particular feature in Intune is set up is that the verbiage is very, very similar versus a lot of times in group policy, the wording is just kind of all over the place and it doesn't really match up with the setting that you're setting in Windows. And so I really like
it's the historical
this way.
Yeah, historical changes. So probably the thing we have glossed over here is we're sitting and talking about update rings right now, right? Why do we need multiple update rings? Because we spoke about pilot and production 0, production 1, and why we would have those rings. And this is where it gives you the ability to test and validate the updates in your environment before you put it onto your wider environment. So you should always have a pilot group. Ideally, pilot group should be 10% of your organization and has a full cross-section of all of your applications being used. So it shouldn't just be IT is probably the point that I'm trying to make. But
yeah, that's a very good point. In our organization, we've historically had 3 pilot rings essentially, and or 3 release phases. So we would do our group, our internal desktop administration group, and then we would roll out to our early adopters who are our local IT support and any of their test devices, and then we'd roll out to our UAT group. And by the end of all of those phases, we would have covered 15% of our enterprise. So it's really a matter of developing a strategy that works within your organization, that makes the most sense, that helps you target the right groups of machines based on, you kind of want to have someone from every department, like a power user from every department, or a representative that has all of the, computers with the most of the applications that your environment has. You want to have those installed. Boy, I just jumbled that up really poorly, but I think I've made the point.
It's all good. You're explaining it quite well, where you're sitting there and saying, look, some people need to do it this way, some people need to do it that way. And this is the very important thing about Windows updates, is make sure it matches what you need for your business. So I'm working with a company at the moment where the desktop team manages their SCCM environment. They sit there and go, look, we patch every month, the updates come out. Their server team, who haven't got control over the automatic deployment rules in SCCM, are sitting there and going, oh, well, we only patch quarterly. So every 6 weeks, we do 6 weeks on, 6 weeks off. So when we start the patching cycle, we're patching with, say, January, but then when we start rolling into production, we're actually deploying Feb updates, because that's what's been then updated and superseded in their environment. So this is where you need to make sure your patching cycles match what you need in your organization. So to go through what we're doing in here on the Intune side as well, is this is where we're sitting here, and one I would highly recommend to make sure you leave default is both updating the Microsoft product updates and Windows drivers. So allow Microsoft to manage those. Don't fight it, just lean into it and go, of course I want them to manage it because it's going to make my life easier. The next one that you'll see there is the quality updates. So these are the monthly updates that we're getting released. This is when we sit there and go, look, we're going to do day 0 release. That's, even for your pilot group, that's pretty impressive. I'd still be doing at least day 2 or day 3 after those updates have been released. So if there's anything major out there, you have the ability to go in there and pause the update cycle for the quarterly update, the quality update, or the feature update. So this is where we'll just change that to 2 days if we can, Adam. And then for the feature update, this is the big Miguel. This is where we're going from, say, 1809 to 1903. So realistically, I'd be delaying it by at least 30 days for me personally. That's just my gut feel, and you want to sit there and make sure that it's all happy days and there's no issues around files being relocated as what happened with the OneDrive bug in 1809. And then the next one, which is the feature update uninstall period. This is where it gives you the time to uninstall those updates after they've installed. And this is typically the OS upgrade scenario. Right now it's set to 10, but you can be very aggressive and take it down to 2, or be very cautious and put it up to 60, as you can see in the UI.
The thing I would point out on this one is this is the setting where if you go back into settings, you can roll back your Windows, roll back the upgrade through the settings app.
That's correct.
And up until I think it was 1809, maybe 1803, the default was just 10 days, and that was it. Correct. And so now you've got this nice window to be able to you could set it to 60 days, and as long as you don't delete the windows.old folder, you're good. You could potentially roll back. I think the important bit here is that it is a self cleanup process here. So if you set it to 2 days, it erases the windows.old folder and erases all of the rollback information to be able to get you back to that other version of the OS. So
and the important thing to mention around it as well, Adam, is it comes down to the amount of data that you're happy to have sitting around on your computers that you can't use. So you're going to be taking storage on those devices. So if they're tablet devices with 64 gig as a Surface Go, for example, you may want to go, look, I actually want it to be the minimum amount of time being 2 days, because I want to give that data space back to the end user.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And I think the other thing here that's really nice is so if we're doing this as part of our pilot group, we may want to give us more time so that we can be more aggressive, knowing that we're going to rely on the rollback as the fallback if something craters. And honestly, if you're in a role that puts you into this pilot group, you probably should be comfortable with having your machine wiped out and reverted on, at any given moment anyway. So just, make sure that those people that are part of that pilot are comfortable with that sort of configuration in your enterprise.
Definitely. So then the next thing we'll see here is all around the maintenance window. This is where we sit there and say, look, the important part to note here is this is active hours. So this is when the user is actually active on the device, not I can patch inside this window, which is what we've traditionally seen with maintenance windows in SCCM and things like that. So I think it's pretty funny, but it's catching a lot of people out, and this is why it's a matter of we need to make sure we highlight that. And this is where the auto install restart at maintenance time. Me personally, I think you shouldn't be installing an update and not restarting straight away, because what you're going to see is computers getting into an unstable state while they're sitting there and waiting for that restart to happen if it takes more than a day.
Yeah, and many times the user doesn't know that the update has occurred and that it's waiting on that. And yeah, so that's a very good point.
Yep. So then you'll see the activity hours. This is where you can set for yours. If you're doing like shift workers, you can control how long you have to patch those computers. And obviously we can do the restart checks. The important one that you're seeing there, if you hover over that restart check, is presentation mode. How many times have we had the phone call from an executive going, I was presenting and my computer just restarted. Why? Oh, Windows updates needed to be installed. But I didn't get a warning. It's like, dude, you get notified every 15 minutes for 4 hours. Yeah, but I didn't know, and I was presenting and I've just lost this. So, okay. So what they've put in here is checks to say, look, you have to have battery, you have to have a user there, but presentation mode. If you're in presenter mode, we're not going to restart your computer automatically, which is really important.
Yeah. It's funny. I had a scenario a couple of weeks ago where one of my IT staff members had gotten the 1903 update, and she pinged me and said, "Hey, I've got a 15-minute countdown till a restart, and I'm in the middle of some training. Can you possibly help out?" And I was able to remote into her machine and cancel the shutdown process. Actually, I believe I just killed CCM exec,
Yep.
but that took care of it for her. But most of your users won't be able to get to you fast enough in that reboot window, so it's nice to be able to have some opportunity there.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. And then we can start putting the whole restart requirements and things like that. As you can see, they're adding more and more features here. I hadn't actually seen the block users from scanning for Windows updates. So this is where you can stop people from going in there and checking for updates. We'll leave that on just so Adam can't see that button, and it'll force him to automatically install those updates. So think of this like what we have with Windows Home. Users don't have the ability to change those settings. And you now have the ability to sit there and pop reminders for the end users, which is fantastic. And it's one of these things that has been very lacking in Intune. So this is all brand new. And now we can start putting triggers around the restart process as well. So you'll see right down the bottom, the delivery optimization download mode is disabled because it's now been separated into its own tab inside device configuration. This is really important. Highly recommend taking the time to use delivery optimization in your environment because it's going to make it a lot easier for content to be distributed around your environment. This isn't just Windows updates. This is also the Win32 applications and Store for Business apps. So it's going to be really powerful to reduce the amount of internet connection and congestion you have. So I think
now, Stephen, if we're on
yep.
the delivery optimization section here for just a moment, now I don't know what it looks like on the Intune side, but I know that from our configuration manager side, we're sending content, or we're sending our Windows, the analytics information.
Yep.
And part of that information tells us about the bandwidth usage and delivery optimization. So there's an updates compliance option that's available. Is that a feature that's also available as part of Intune? Because I know that one of the things that it shows is it gives us a nice dashboard to show where your content came from, how many, which group, DO group are your machines in, where did they get their content from, how much content, all that sort of thing. Is that available as well?
So today it's still in the process of being fleshed out and delivered. But on the client side, we can see those settings. So if we go into the delivery optimization settings on the 1903 or in 1809, we go to the advanced options of delivery optimization, we'll be able to see that information.
Oh, look, activity monitor.
And we'll be able to see where it's come from and everything associated. So all of your data's come from Microsoft. But if I was to share my computer, we're sitting at, I've downloaded 23% of my internet, 23% of my traffic from my local network. And if you look at your own computer, it's probably about the same. So DO is really powerful. So you're on 1903 there, so you need to hit delivery optimization tab on the left-hand side.
Oh, look, they moved it into a different spot.
Yep, so it's got its own, it got promoted.
Yeah, I'm all straight from Microsoft.
Yep.
Because I don't have any peers, I'm all alone over here.
That's right. But if you're running devices on your network that have the ability to share, it will. So it's really powerful. So if we click OK on that now, we now have our pilot, we're going to create it, and we're going to deploy it to Adam. So realistically, you should deploy these two devices because it's devices that we're targeting. Because this is the pilot ring, we'll select a group. And it'll eventually come through, and we're going to select our Win10 Intune baseline group.
Mainly because we didn't go and create a new
That's right.
different, and we've got 2 machines we're testing against, but yeah, ideally you would
Yes.
potentially create another group that you would use to logically separate these things out. So
Exactly.
okay, so then we're going to go back over to our devices and go and grab that guy and sync it back up.
That's right. So what you'll see in the last couple of videos is we spend a lot of time going in and hitting sync. This is a good thing. It gives us the ability to see those policies applying to the devices, and it happens in real time. We also then can turn around and go, look, you know what? In a production world, we're not going to do that sync because we know it's going to happen in the next 4 to 8 hours, and I'll pull that down for you. But in our scenario, we're wanting to do the demo really quickly. So if Adam goes across to his VM now, we should be able to see the changes in Windows updates once the policy applies. So if we now go to, if Adam can remember where he needs to go for sync.
Got it.
Yep. Somebody was listening.
Last successful sync was half
yep.
a minute ago. So
and if you look at the policies,
updates
there now.
Look at that. And if we wanted to go, we could look at the report and see additional information there.
Yep.
So excellent. And so we'll go back out to our updates. Oh, look at this. The message changed. And this is what I really enjoy about this.
Yes.
Is that you can go and see specifically what is being set now. And so now they've set the active hours. We've set the get updates from Microsoft products. And so now we know exactly which items we've configured via policy. And I really like that visibility into this without having to go do a GP result and go create a report and then dig through. This is great. It's very specific. I mean, these are incredible improvements that have been added just in the last several releases of Windows that have really made the visibility into the content and the configuration very, very transparent to the users, to the admins, all those sorts of things. And so I think this is great.
Definitely. And this is what it's all about. It's about that transparency. So you can see what's going on in your environment. Cool. So now if you just hit the check for updates, Adam, it should pick up the latest updates for you.
I'm hoping I get a feature update in this. That would be neat.
I would assume you would, since you're on 1809.
While that's syncing, I don't know if I mentioned this in a previous video or not, but I don't live in Intune, and every time I come into the screen, I get scared to death because all of the icons are the same color, and all of them have this, curvy arrow kind of thing going on here. And so we have a sync button, which is the only really good button in here for normal everyday stuff.
They're all good.
But if I'm trying to do something good to the user, for the user, and not impact them, this is about the only one I want to click. And these guys are really bad if you don't want to restart. You're not intending to do them. And then you've also got these other ones in the More button. But I really think that Microsoft could possibly do a little bit better job on maybe just putting different colors on these, putting some red on them, or grouping them a little bit better. Because I guess the point being here, I'm assuming if I hit wipe, it's going to give me a confirmation button.
Yes.
But whenever I hit sync, it also gives me a confirmation button. So how do I, you have to really pay attention before you hit yes. And I could imagine somewhere along the line, it's probably already happened, that somebody thought they were hitting sync and they hit fresh start and hit OK and moved on. So be careful in here, read the screen. And the other big thing is, this stuff is changing pretty much daily. Monthly. Intune is getting updated monthly now, and they send out. You get notices inside your tenant. You get emails letting you know they publish what changes and everything. But train your train your admins, train your people to read the screens, to look at this stuff, because it will continue to change. Things are going to move, colors will change, buttons will change, dialogues will change, options will change.
Yep.
Pay attention to what you're doing, because you don't want to wipe someone's machine. So let me switch back over to our guy here.
It all depends, to be honest. Because at the end of the day, if you've set your environment up where you don't need to worry about that device and it's disposable, like, yes, you don't want to format the CEO's computer randomly.
Presentation mode is not going to protect him from this.
No, it is not. and it may be a resume generating event, but at the end of the day, you're going to, for your standard users, look, Adam rings up, he's got a problem. Oh, okay, it's going to take me more than half an hour. Well, you know what? I can rebuild his computer in half an hour. Reset. There you go, Adam. Go and grab a coffee, go and have an early lunch, whatever. And then when you come back, just sign back in like you did when you got the computer, and away you go. This is where we as IT need to start thinking about how much involved do we need to be. So do we need to be sitting there and holding the hands and hiding everything from our staff anymore? Or do we just go, look, there's a problem, go and fix it?
Yeah. I mean, I really like the idea of just giving them the whole toolbox. So go. Yep. It's just a workstation, and it really is. It's our company platform layered on top of an OS, and who cares? Just wipe out, if the OS is misbehaving, wipe out the OS, relayer everything, and go. Sure, it's inconvenient to the user, but as long as you're not doing it to that guy every single day, and I mean, it's okay. It's built in such a way that it should make our lives as IT administrators significantly simpler, and we should be comfortable with handing out more control, letting people use the tools that are available, instead of saying, oh no, go and sit and troubleshoot that person's machine for 3 hours. Man, you could have re-imaged it 4 times by now. Or not even re-imaged. You could have just reset. You're not even putting the OS back on. You're just resetting the thing, and then all of your company stuff comes. You re-autopilot it, and everything comes back, and it's magical. So
that's right.
This is definitely an opportunity to. You should be constantly reevaluating your platform and what you want out of your desktop environment, or your device environment in general, and what you want your admins to do and not do.
Yeah, and the other side of it is, look, if you sit there and go, look, I think it's going to take more than an hour, half an hour to fix, and I'm going to quickly reset it, see if that fixes the computer. If it doesn't, you know what? I haven't really lost anything. I've lost half an hour, but I've saved a whole heap of time if it is just an issue with that computer or operating system. And that's the big story, right? It's not about sitting here and going, oh, well, this is going to fix every problem. It's go, you know what? It may or may not. It could just be an issue with that user object, but we can rule out a whole heap of things straight away by resetting the computer. In 30 minutes later, you're back up and running. So it's a great troubleshooting step. So I think that really covers off the video today, Adam. Is there anything else you would want to go through?
No, I think this is great. So now we're setting up for updates, and then I think our next thing is tying updates in with compliance. So now how do we ensure that our machines are compliant before we allow them onto our network? So I think that's where we're headed next. So thank you for joining us for this one. As always, if you've got additional questions for us, please find us on social media. We're really easy to find on Twitter. I'm Adam Gross TX, and Steven's on-prem cloud guy. And happy for you to reach out to us there, or even in the comments for the video. We want to know what you think. We want to know what you want to see. Please let us know. Thanks for joining us. See you next video.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Steven. And before we forget,
big thanks to
Dom, our producer. Thanks again, Dom.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.